What's up, guys? Jordan McAbee here, fantasyracingonline.com, and today we're going to go over Michigan, the FireKeepers Casino 400. Once again, we're talking about Kyle Larson, who's on the pole. We've had this happen quite a few times this year, and even when he's not on the pole, oftentimes the discussion when it comes to DFS is what to do with Kyle Larson, if he can dominate as much as people think he's going to. Larson's obviously the heavy favorite heading into Michigan this weekend. But can he get those dominator points to justify the high salaries both in DraftKings and FanDuel? DraftKings, he's $11,500. FanDuel, he's $14,500. Head and shoulders above everybody else in the field when it comes to DFS salaries. But he's probably going to be worth it. It's Kyle Larson. He's the fastest car all year. He's won 3 times at Michigan. But it really opens up the door for building different DFS lineups, because what if he has a speeding penalty? What if his car isn't as good as people think it's going to be? What if just anything out of the ordinary happens? Yes, it's very possible and I wouldn't say very likely, but it's likely that Kyle Larson dominates this race on Sunday. We look at the races where he's really led the most laps. So he led 103 laps at Las Vegas, which they're using the same right side tire here at Michigan this week as they did in Las Vegas. He led 132 laps at Kansas, again using the same right side tire. And that was after he started back in 32nd in Kansas. He still led 132 laps in that race. You know, we had that tire debacle, and that kind of shuffled Larson there in the end, and he ended up finishing 19th. Started 4th, led 263 laps at Dover. Started 5th, dominated the race, 264 laps led. Atlanta started 6th, led 269 laps, and then Charlotte, won from the pole, led 327 laps, absolutely dominated. We know what Kyle Larson can do when they nail this setup. The only question is whether they're going to nail it for Michigan. And if you listen, no matter what DFS content providers you listen to, chances are every single one of them is going to have Larson project as the highest this week. Like I said, now you have to make a decision of whether you go. I think you have to make a decision whether you take a stand and you kind of go underweight on Larson and try to make different lineups, or if you just go full out, I'm going 100%, or not 100%, but I'm going super heavy on Larson to get somewhat of an edge on the field on a no-brainer play in DFS this weekend. So we take a look at other lineups or other races that Larson started on the front row. You know, Road America, starting down here. Road America, he started 2nd, finished 16th, led no laps. Phoenix, he had to go to the back due to inspection issues. Still put up a ton of fastest laps. Had one of the fastest cars in that race. Finished 7th after I think 3 speeding penalties. Coda started 2nd, finished 2nd. That was that crazy race. And then Bristol Dirt started on the pole, had to go in the back again, I think for inspection issues or maybe a wreck or something from that race. Finished 29th. Pocono also started on the pole, led only 15 laps, but was in position to win the race at the end of that, if you remember, and then blew a tire. That's really the only disappointing race outside of road courses that Larson has started up front and hasn't put up the dominating potential that we expected. You know, a lot of people expected with that Pocono race, Kyle Larson to really put up solid number, to definitely lead more than 15 laps in that race. Was he still a factor to win? Absolutely. Was he still a great pick that race? He would have been if they wouldn't have blown that tire. Obviously, finishing 9th and starting 1st and not having the dominator points definitely hurts at a track like Pocono. But yeah. So like I said, your lineups and what's going to be the winning lineup this week, I think, is going to definitely come down to what Kyle Larson does. My projections have Kyle Larson conservatively dominating this race. They're a little bit on the low side for what I think he could actually do. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Larson goes out there and, leads 140 laps. This is a 200 lap race. I could see Larson leading 140 plus laps and putting up a ton of fastest laps. Michigan's a track that favors high horsepower. Hendrick cars are the highest horsepower, or have created the most speed in the Cup Series this year. Kyle Larson has been the fastest car in the Cup Series this year. There's no reason to think that him starting on the pole, he's not going to put up just massive numbers and definitely be in contention to win. Like I said, he won 3 straight times here at Michigan before, and that's when he was in a Chip Ganassi car. So there's no reason to think that Kyle Larson won't put up the numbers. Like I said, I think that's how lineups are going to – you're going to have to fall on one side or the other. That's why I'm spending so much time talking about Kyle Larson here before we really dig into stuff. But that's just where we're at. That's the decision we have to make, because when you have a driver that's $11,500, a full $700 over the second highest priced driver and a full $1,100 over the third highest priced driver, you have to justify picking that driver, and it has to work. You can't have an okay day out of Larson and pay up for that and still have it work out. It's just not likely to work out like that. But anyway, Michigan is a 2-mile racetrack, sister track to Auto Club Speedway, Fontana. We don't race there anymore. Haven't raced there since February or March of 2020. So we haven't even raced at a 2-mile track since 2020. And we'll get into those numbers a little bit. So yeah, it was March 1st, 2020 is the last time we were at Auto Club. And then Michigan, the 2 races last year was a doubleheader weekend. So it was, I think there were like 130 laps, 161 and 156 were the total laps in the 2 Michigan races last year. Harvick still led 90 in each of them. Just always dominant here. But we'll get into that. Like I said, Las Vegas and Kansas run the same right side tire from those races. So we'll take a look at those real quick. Larson, of course, won Las Vegas, had the best green flag speed. Keslowski was really strong in that race as well. Second in green flag speed, finished second. Blaney, Hamlin, Byron, all strong. You got Bowman up there. He had a tire issue late. That's why he finished 27th. As you can see right here, he was 6th in green flag speed. And then Chase Elliott was very strong to start the race. They got damage early. He was actually in contention. I think he finished second in the first stage. Was in contention to win it. Was putting up fastest laps. Was getting laps led early. They got damage like on their side skirt. They had to come in and fix it, and the car was just not the same after that. So just a little note there about Chase Elliott in this race. Looking at Kansas, again, same right side tire. Kyle Larson had the best car that day. He led the most laps. He had the most fastest laps. He finished 19th because of the whole restart after the tire thing. You remember the tire on pit road and the big deal we made about that, which it was a big deal. It was absolutely ridiculous. But Kyle Busch ended up in victory lane again. Denny Hamlin was strong in that race. Had the third best green flag speed again. Keselowski was strong in that race, as was Ryan Blaney. Chase Elliott was up there. He finished 5th. Byron, Harvick, typical guys, Basically, you compare these 2 races, they're very similar on who is fastest. They're running the 550 horsepower package this year, so we'll take a look, or this weekend. So we'll take a look at who's done the best on that. There's been 8 races on it, so we have a good amount of data. And let me pull up this other spreadsheet quick. So we have 8 races of data. Average running position, Kyle Larson just blows everybody else out of the water. He just hasn't gotten all the finishes that he deserves, so that's kind of why his average finish doesn't look as good, as someone like Kyle Busch. But the 8 races in the 550 horsepower package this season: Homestead, Las Vegas, Atlanta, Kansas, Charlotte, the 2 Pocono races, and then the second Atlanta race. All ran under the 550 horsepower package. We have 8 races of data on this packet. With this package, it's a lot of data. We know who's good. There's no reason to think it's going to be any different this weekend at Atlanta. Byron definitely benefits from his average starting position. So just something to note there with average running position. He's second best in average running position, and not to say that Byron isn't good in this package, but he definitely gets a little bit of help from his average starting spot. And of course, I can't find that right now. But Byron started up front. He's starting mid-pack this week. Definitely a good place differential play, but just something to note there with average running position with him. Kyle Busch is 3rd. Denny Hamlin, Alex Bowman, Martin Truex Jr., Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, all strong. Harvick's there as well. When we go average finish over those 8 races, Kyle Busch, ridiculous 3.4. Just really hasn't had a bad race. Him and Larson have 2 wins this year. So Kyle Busch won in the 550 horsepower package. Kyle Busch won at Kansas. He won at Pocono, the second Pocono race. He's finished 3rd or better in 6 of the 8 550 horsepower races this year. So definitely very strong. Larson, he's got the win at Vegas. He's got the win at Charlotte, in the second Pocono race, second at Atlanta. He should have won Atlanta. He should have won the first Pocono race. So, yeah. Byron's up there, 8.1. Hamlin, Harvick, Bowman, Keslowski, all strong. Fastest laps, Larson and nobody else. You know, Larson almost doubles, or more than doubles, actually. Second place, or second highest, William Byron. Larson has 349 fastest laps in the 550 package this year. Byron and Kyle Busch are right there with about 160, 150. Then we got Kurt Busch. A lot of that is from the second Atlanta race. And then Keselowski actually putting up decent fastest laps. One thing to note here is Ryan Blaney. Like I said, I like to compare fastest laps to laps led. It's easy for someone leading a lot of laps to get fastest laps. It's normal for the race leader to get those fastest laps. So when we see someone like Ryan Blaney that has 90 fastest laps and only 28 laps led, it's definitely noteworthy that he has a stronger car, and if he can just get track position, he can put up higher dominator points potentially. Switching over to the 2-mile tracks from 2020, so that would be the Auto Club race and the 2 Michigan races. Average running position, Kevin Harvick, 5.7. Kyle Busch was strong. Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Kurt Busch, a lot of the same guys here. Alex Bowman, Erik Jones, that's when he was in the 20 car, and Brad Keselowski. Average finish, Harvick and Kyle Busch the best, 3.7. Denny Hamlin at 4.7. Elliott, Truex, Kurt Busch, all up there. Logano. When it comes to fastest laps, Alex Bowman, remember he didn't really finish well. He won the Auto Club race last year. He's never really done well at Michigan, but had the most fastest laps on 2-mile tracks last year. Kevin Harvick, second best. You know, he just dominated both Michigan races, so that's to be expected. And then Ryan Blaney, 3rd highest. Hamlin putting up a decent amount of fastest laps, 36, and then Keselowski always grabs some fastest laps. It's always a little surprising when Kyle Busch, only has 24 fastest laps when he has an average finish of 3.7 in a solid running position. But again, that was 2020. Kyle Busch wasn't really running as strong as he is this year. So looking at the last 4 races of Michigan, this would be 2019 and 2020 data. Kevin Harvick, he's been an absolute stud at Michigan. So average running position of 5.8. We got Logano up there, Hamlin, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, Chase Elliott, all strong. Again, we got Ryan Blaney, who doesn't quite get the finishes he deserves sometimes at Michigan and at 2-mile tracks especially. And then Alex Bowman, same exact thing. You can see here when you compare average running position to average finish. Switching over to average finish, Kevin Harvick over the last 4 Michigan races, average finish of 2.5. Truex 3.3, Kyle Busch 5.0, Denny Hamlin 5.3. All 4 strong. Kevin Harvick is the one that gets the wins though. He has won the last 4 of the last 5 Michigan races. He's finished 2nd or better in 5 of the last 6. And his worst finish during that span is 7th. He's been an absolute monster. Fastest laps over those 4 races, Kevin Harvick tops with 109. Denny Hamlin with 78. That's noteworthy, especially with only 27 laps led. Keselowski, like I said, he always picks up fastest laps at Michigan at 2-mile tracks and in this package. So no reason to think he won't pick up some fastest laps here on Sunday. And then Logano, of course, he led a bunch of laps. He's actually led the most laps over the last 4 Michigan races. So makes sense that he has some fastest laps. And then we got Ryan Blaney there. But we know who's typically good at Michigan at 2-mile tracks in this package. So let's get right into the driver breakdown this week. First, we're going to check out my algorithm predicted finishing order. It actually has Martin Truex Jr. ranked number 1. I was very surprised by this. I can't say I agree with it. I think Larson is the heavy favorite, and I think he's going to win. I think he's going to lead the most laps. I think he might sweep the stages and the race. I definitely think Kyle Larson is a very strong pick. But algorithm says Truex this week. I'm not going to argue with numbers. But in my head, I say Larson should be in the number one spot. Hamlin third, Chase Elliott fourth, Kyle Busch fifth. I think Kyle Busch is a little bit undervalued by the algorithm this week. Got Blaney sixth, Harvick seventh, Byron eighth, Keslowski ninth, Logano 10th, Bowman 11th, Kurt Busch. And you can see the rest here, or you can go to the actual article. Not that I'm begging for clicks or anything, but go ahead and check that out. Go ahead and check everything else, all the other content that I have for free on my site, fantasyracingonline.com. Starting lineup this week, again, Kyle Larson on the pole, Chase Elliott outside pole. Place differential plays, we got Byron starting 18th, Logano starting 19th, Keselowski starting 20th. A little further back, we got Austin Dillon starting 26th, Christopher Bell starting 28th, Daniel Suarez starting 30th, Ryan Preece 32nd, Anthony Alfredo 35th. We got a lot of place differential plays. That crazy ending at the end of the Indy Road course kind of messed up this starting lineup for Michigan. You know, it really kind of takes away a lot of drivers from being viable options, in my opinion, in DFS. So Matt DiBenedetto, is it worth having a little bit of exposure to him? Yes. I'm trying to figure out what the hell this ad is that's playing. But is he going to be in the optimal? Probably not. Kurt Busch, same thing. Chris Buescher, same thing. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., same thing. Erik Jones, same. Bubba Wallace, that's kind of where it's getting, questionable just with his price. Ryan Newman, no. Justin Haley, hell no. Josh Bilicki starting 29th, absolutely not. Quinn Houff, 31st, nope. Like, we can wipe off so many drivers, not even caring or looking at what their DFS salary is, just where they're starting, especially for DraftKings. You can just completely wipe them off already. We're limiting our driver pool by a significant amount. This almost kind of reminds me of a super speedway race, as much as you can just eliminate so many drivers from even being options this week. Maybe that's not completely fading them, but like minimal exposure. You're not even going 10% DiBenedetto this week, I don't think. It's just not worth it. Starting fourth, it's not going to work out. Do you need that small amount of exposure in case, if you're doing 150 lineups, it's probably worth it. I probably still wouldn't. But that's how I play. I'm very aggressive when it comes to building lineups. But anyway, let's get into this breakdown. Like I said, we already talked about Larson quite a bit. No reason to go against him unless you're purposely doing it and hoping he either has issues or doesn't dominate the race. Kyle Busch, I think, is a great pivot if you're going off of Larson. Like I said, Kyle Busch, top 3 in 6 of the 8 550 horsepower tracks. Has been strong at Michigan in the past. We look at, he's second best to Harvick here lately. Constant top 6 threat. Last 6 races, he's finished 6th or better. All of those but one were top 5s. He definitely should contend this weekend. Will he put up the dominator points? I don't think he can if Larson's up there. And even if Larson falls back a little bit, I still like, someone like Chase Elliott a little bit better. Ryan Blaney probably. Starting second and third, I think it's going to be tough for Kyle Busch to get a ton of dominator points this week. Is it possible? Absolutely. Do I still have him projected pretty high? Yes. I think Kyle Busch is a solid, top 3 car this week. But am I going to go super crazy overweight on him? No, I'm probably just going to go Larson and not even try to fit Larson, Kyle Busch into a lineup. So Denny Hamlin, 10,400. He starts 9th. I like Denny Hamlin as a tournament play. And the reason why, and I kind of mentioned this before, last 4 races at Michigan, second most fastest laps. 2-mile tracks last year, Denny Hamlin was 4th in fastest laps. Now, he's not getting the fastest laps really with the 550 horsepower package this year. That's why I like him as a tournament play. I don't think Hamlin's going to be super high owned in this. You got Byron priced right below him at starting 18th. Hamlin starts 9th. And then you got Kyle Busch, who is probably, for many, considered the second most likely dominator in this race, just barely above him, $400. I think Hamlin's going to go pretty low owned. I think people, if they're in that price range, they're going to go to Byron. They're going to go to Harvick, who has a lot better record here than Hamlin. Keslowski, Logano. I think Hamlin's going to get completely overlooked. So I really like Denny Hamlin as a tournament play this week. I think he can sneakily put up some laps led. If he can challenge for the win in this, I think he's a solid top 5 car. My algorithm agrees with that. It hasn't projected third. That's not to say he can't get up there and lead laps. Is after last week's craziness, I don't want to play the narrative of Cinderella stories, or not even Cinderella stories, but happy-go-lucky stories. It seems like whenever there's an opportunity, and it could just be, whenever it happens, you note it. When it doesn't, you don't. But it seems like whenever a driver suffers heartbreak, the next week or the week after, they get that win, or something very good happens. So that's kind of where my brain's at. I think Hamlin's a great tournament play this week. William Byron, 18th is where he starts. He's 10,200. Obviously, he's a good place differential play. He's been great in this package this year. Average finish 8.1. Average running position is 7th. Like I said, that's helped a lot by his starting position. And that's obviously going to have an effect on average running position, especially when you have a car like Byron does that's strong enough to stay up front. So his average start this year is 8th. Look at all these races that he started inside the top 5. Only 2 of these aren't points paying races, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 15 of the 24 races this year, William Byron started in the top 5. That's obviously going to help his average running position a lot. Noteworthy, he led 25 laps here at Las Vegas in this race. Again, he started 2nd. My whole philosophy is always not paying up for a place differential. I think Byron's about an 8th place car this week, and I don't think that gets him decent option for cash games. Not loving it for tournaments. I'm just not seeing huge upside here. I'd rather go Harvick if I'm in this price range, or even Keslowski. That's just where I'm at. Harvick's another guy. He's like Hamlin. He starts 8th. He's $10,000. He's next on this list. Harvick, I think, is actually going to go overlooked this week just because of how he's performed this year. Harvick's not having the year that anyone has expected of him, and he hasn't turned it around. We've seen no flashes out of Harvick except for, New Hampshire, when he had 44 fastest laps. He led 66 laps. Obviously, that's a great day out of Harvick. That's also not an intermediate track. So what have you done for me on intermediate? So take a look at the 550 horsepower package this year. Kevin Harvick, yeah, he's been decent. He's finished, average finish of 8th, 56 fastest laps, 0 laps led. Do his 2-mile and Michigan stats look great? Of course. But that's not the Harvick that we know this season. Do I think Kevin Harvick can finish top 5 this week? Yes. This is Ford, I think, still has an edge when it comes to horsepower on super speedways and then like tracks like Michigan. I think Ford has that edge. I don't think that's going to go away this weekend. Do I see Kevin Harvick dominating this race? No, I don't. Is he a tournament play? Yes. 10,000. I think you can fit him into a lineup, getting off of that Keselowski, Logano, Byron chalk, and going Harvick. But if I'm going to really do that, I'm going to save the money. I'm going to come down to Truex. I'm going to come down to Chase Elliott. I'm going to come down to Ryan Blaney. I'm going to make it so I can make my lineup more. One problem this week, and when we get down there, it's building with low dollar drivers. There's no great options down here. So you're really kind of in a box of how you're going to build these lineups. And I think you have to go more of a central, especially if you're going Larson, you have to go more of a central build, but we'll kind of get to that later. Brad Keselowski's next, starts 20th, $9,800. It's going to be which Keselowski shows up. So second at Vegas this year, third at Kansas, both those using the same tires this week. He was third in the second Pocono race. Every other race in this package, he's been all right. Here at Michigan, though, like Penske's always strong at Michigan. Sixth or better in four of the last 6 races here at Michigan. This 2019 race, he led 66 laps. He fell back on the late restart. There's no reason to think that Keselowski won't challenge for at least a top 10, if not a top 7 finish. So starting 20th, under $10,000, definitely a very safe option. Same with Joey Logano, starting 19th, $9,600. I don't like Logano as much, though, and it's just because we've not seen the speed out of Logano that we've seen out of Keselowski in this package. Logano's best finish in the 550 horsepower, he finished 7th in the first Pocono race. He finished 9th at Vegas, and those are his only single-digit finishes. He's not running awful, but when we take a looking specifically at the 550, comparing Keselowski to Logano, and I did this in my FanDuel article, if you check that out, I specifically talked about those two, head to head. Keselowski, average running position 10.7, average finish at 10.4. Joey Logano, average running position of 13.1, average finish of 14.9. They're not running. Logano is definitely struggling a bit in this package on this track type this year. So between the two, I like them. They're both safe. They're both relatively safe picks. I think they both have top 10 potential. Yeah, if you want to go that route, try to keep your floor relatively high. Keselowski, Logano at Michigan. You can't go wrong with Penske at Michigan. You really can't. Chase Elliott's next, Martin Truex Jr. is next. Starts 5th, $9,400. Love him as a tournament play. I don't think many people are going to be on him just because he doesn't put the he's not like blowing anybody out of the water, especially like on these 2-mile tracks. So the 3 2-mile races last year, 11 total fastest laps. The last 4 Michigan races, 32 fastest laps, and he led 43. The reason I like him for a tournament play is because my algorithm thinks he can win it. If Martin Truex Jr. gets up there, leads 30 laps, and wins the race at $9,400, he's going to probably make it into the optimal lineup. So that's why I like being overweight on Martin Truex Jr. this weekend. Starts 5th. I think he's a solid top 5 car. He's running that auto owner's paint scheme. You know what I think about that when he runs that paint scheme. I think Truex is going to have a very good race. Do I love him as a tournament play so much that I'm going to be super heavy on him? No, but I'm going to be. I plan on being what I think will be overweight on the field when it comes to Martin Truex Jr. on Sunday. Chase Elliott, my projections really like Chase Elliott this week at $9,200, even though he starts second. This price range here in DraftKings, this basically Truex down to Bowman, is really fun this week. So Chase Elliott starts second. It's just going to be how much does Kyle Larson dominate? And I know it's been the question. We've talked about it extensively already through this video. But Chase Elliott, not awful in the 550 horsepower package this year. He's putting up 82 fastest laps. I like to see that. He finished 5th at Kansas. He finished 2nd at Charlotte. I just like what that team's doing lately. Last 4 Michigan races, Chase hasn't been awful. He hasn't been great. 20 fastest laps, average finish of 11.3. I just feel like they're running a lot better right now. And I think Chase can put up a decent amount of Dominator points to make that second place. If he can finish top 4 and get a decent amount of Dominator points, I think he's going to be a great tournament play this week in DraftKings. He's finished second. His first 3 races here at Michigan were second. He's never finished worse than 9th here except for one time. Just a very good track for Chase Elliott. Definite tournament play at $9,200, but it doesn't take a lot for that to pay off in DraftKings this week. It takes 10 fastest laps and 15 laps led and a top 5 finish is where we're at with that. Ryan Blaney, another guy. I wrote him up in FanDuel. I haven't done my DraftKings article yet. Not sure if I'm going to write him up for that. But, yeah, great. I like the pick. Definite tournament pick. 9,000. Starts third. We know how good Penske's been at Michigan. Blaney's been solid at Michigan. Last 4 races, 35 fastest laps. He hasn't gotten the finishes. He was... Alex Bowman won the Auto Club race last year. Blaney was the second, if not the fastest car in that race. He had a tire issue late and had to pit. And then, like I talked about here, Ryan Blaney in the 550 horsepower package this year, 90 fastest laps compared to 28 laps led. That's something you really like to see. So, I really like Ryan Blaney as a tournament play. I think with how dominant Larson's going to be, I think you're going to have to think a little bit outside of the box and not just focus solely on place differential this week, because chances are one or two of the place differential guys are going to have issues. So definitely like Ryan Blaney as a tournament option on Sunday. Alex Bowman, I really like Alex Bowman as well. Like I said, this price range right here, $9,400 to $8,800, Truex, Elliott, Blaney, Bowman. Really like this price range and these drivers. I'm going to be spending a lot of time building lineups with these guys in it. Bowman, not great here at Michigan, but like I said, he won Auto Club last year, and we all know how Bowman does. He comes out of nowhere and finishes top 5. So 2 top 10s here in 2019 for Bowman. Those are his best finishes ever. But looking at the 550 horsepower package this year, ranks 5th in average running position. He ranks 6th in an average finish, strong, 65 fastest laps compared to 39 laps led. I think Bowman starting 10th and finishing 5th, that's a great day for a driver at $8,800. So definitely like Alex Bowman. Kurt Busch, I don't see the point in having a ton of exposure. He did win at Michigan 2015. Pretty sure that's the rain race. Yeah, 138 laps. I was there. It downpoured. I think it flooded the infield too. But Kurt Busch about a top 10 car. I just don't like the starting position. It's worth having some exposure, but you're better off going to these place differential plays here off of Kurt Busch. I'm not super excited about Kurt Busch this week. Just not. Maybe I'm missing something, but I'm just not. I don't like the price. I don't like the starting spot. Erik Amarola, starting 23rd. He's $8,300. He hasn't shown anything this year in this package. Best finish of 16th. That was in both Pocono races. Does a 16th place finish get Erik Amarola in the optimal lineup this week in DraftKings? Absolutely not. Is he a pivot option? He's an option. Is he a good one? Not really. Unless, like I said, we haven't ran a 2-mile track before. But looking at this year and how Stewart-Haas is running this year, I have the ceiling for Amarola at 12th, and I don't like paying $8,300 for a 12th place driver that has no dominator potential. He's not going to put up 10. He's not going to put up 10 fastest laps in this race. So, do I think he's a pivot? Yes. You can make some lineups with him. Would I go too heavy on him? No, I wouldn't. Christopher Bell starts 28th. He's $8,100 on DraftKings. Definite option. So we take a look at last year when he was with Levine. He finished 13th and 17th in the 2 Michigan races. I like that a lot. $8,100, I like it. Starting 28th. Looking at 550 horsepower package this year. Bell, average running position is 16th, average finish at 19.6. Take a look at the races. He actually did finish well. He finished 7th at Vegas, which same right side tire. Finished 8th at the second Atlanta race. Every other race, Christopher Bell has been 17th or worse. Like I said, like he's a safe option this week. And one thing you have to like is how Erik Jones ran here for the last 4 years. Average running position of 11.0. It's very solid for a guy like Erik Jones. And that's basically the car that Christopher Bell's running this year. So I like Christopher Bell. I can understand why people wouldn't, just because of his track record in this 550 horsepower package this year. How did he do at Auto Club? Oh, he wrecked or something. 38th engine issue, so you can't really count that. Yeah, I think Bell's a very safe play. He's actually in the optimal lineup according to my projections. So, so is the next guy on the list, Austin Dillon, 26th, $8,000. We're not going to talk about Austin Dillon in last week. That was painful. And I called it play-by-play on Twitter. I said, I can't wait to see how Austin Dillon screws this up with my top 20 bet, but that's how it is. Anyway, looking at the 550 horsepower package this year, Austin's finished 13th or better in all but one of the 8 races. Looking at his track record here at Michigan, 14th or better, 16th or better in all but 3 of the last 11. You don't need a ton out of Austin Dillon when he's starting 26th and at $8,000. So definitely a cash play, definitely a place differential play. He's probably going to finish about 12th, which would put him, quick math. I don't want to do it. It's late. Actually, now my brain's really wants to do it. So he finishes 12th. He gets 31 points for the finish, and then 14 points for place differential. So 45 points. Pretty good day out of an $8,000 driver. Like I said, definitely cash option play. As is the next guy, Daniel Suarez. Starts 30th. He's $7,800. Michigan was a pretty good track for Suarez when he was with Gibbs. He's had strong runs here in the past. Taking a look at the 550 horsepower package this year, average finish of 14 point. Oops, nope, that's Michigan. Suarez, average finish of 18.5, average running position of 20.6. That's over the 8 races. Finished, he has a couple of bad, so that's really brought down by his 36th in the second Atlanta race and his 26th in the Vegas race. Other than that, Suarez has been 17th or better in every 550 horsepower package race this year. Also noteworthy, though, he has 0 top 10s. I do think Suarez is going to be a mid-teen driver. Starting 30th, that's going to, again, it's like Austin Dillon. You're going to hit value there. Suarez, yeah, he's a good play. Ross Chastain, I think, is a very good tournament option. I'm not sure how many people are going to end up on him this week. I have him projected for about 20% ownership, which is decent. I think some people are going to get off this chalk and go to Chastain and go to Priest and go to Reddick. Chastain, he's running the car that Kyle Larson won here with. So definitely you have to like that. Chastain, as far as the 550 horsepower package goes, this weekend or this season, he's had a lot of bad races. Average finish of 23.1, average running position of 21.8. With that being said, 14th at Kansas. I see similar. I see about a top 15, maybe top 10 if he gets lucky. With how that team's running. Again, I think Chastain is a tournament play this week. And yeah, that's where I'm at with him. Ryan Preece, he starts 32nd. He's $7,500. He's definitely a safe play, starting 32nd. Looking at his finishes in this package, 21st, 15th, 25th, 32nd, 16th, 23rd, 8th, and 25th. 8th was that second Pocono race, which turned into a little fuel mileage thing at the end. Ryan Preece is about a 20th place car. I don't think you need to pay up $7,500 for a 20th place car, even though he starts 32nd. Could he prove me wrong and finish 14th and get in the optimal? Absolutely. Is it likely? Not really. Some exposure. I wouldn't go too crazy on Ryan Preece this week. Tyler Reddick, I really like this week, though. He's next up. 14th is where he starts, $7,400. So 11th or better in six of the eight 550 horsepower package races this year. You have to like that out of Reddick. You have to like the price. I'm not sure how many people are actually going to be on Reddick this week. Just because he starts 14th, get up there and grab Ryan Preece. He's underneath the chalk. Like, this is major chalk right here with Amarola, Bell, Dillon, Suarez, Chastain, and Preece. That's a ton of chalk right there. So will people be smart and get off of it and go to Reddick a little bit more? You'd hope so, but I have no confidence that they actually will. So definitely, I really like Tyler Reddick as a tournament play this week. I'm probably going to write him up as a tournament play in my article. Didn't run too well in the two races here last year. I'm not too concerned about that. He finished 11th at Fontana last year. So, definitely think Reddick is a solid tournament play this weekend. DiBenedetto, we talked about him a little bit. I'm just not $7,300 starting fourth. I don't see the point. No, I likely won't. Even if I make 200 lineups this week, I probably won't have any DiBenedetto. And that's just where I'm at with it. And if that burns me, then so be it. Because I take stands like that, and I just don't. It's a dumb play. Ryan Newman, on a good day, he's finishing 15th. You don't pay $7,100 for a 15th place finish for someone starting 16th. So, yeah. I don't hate him as much as DiBenedetto, but I still don't like him. Cole Custer's next up. He's $7,000. He starts 27th. That's what you have to like about Custer this week. At the same time, we don't know what Stewart-Haas is going to bring to the table. And on a good day this year in this package, Cole Custer has been about an 18th place car. It's right on the fringe. I think Custer deserves ownership. I wouldn't go too crazy. I don't love him. I don't hate him. But starting 27th, looking at his Michigan record here specifically, nothing great. 34th and 25th. Yeah, I'm not seeing it out of Custer at all. Maybe it made this is what you have to like though, is they're kind of running better. A lot of road courses and not intermediate tracks in there though. So I just 7,000, that's tough. I'll have some for sure, Custer. I won't have a ton though. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., definitely an interesting tournament play. I got to pull up a tweet from iFantasy Race about Stenhouse, because I saw it this afternoon and I'd like to. So this year at high-speed intermediate tracks, minus Kansas and the second Atlanta race where Stenhouse wrecked both, Stenhouse has an average finish of 12th. All four incident-free races are finishes between 11th and 13th. Finishes between 11th and 13th. So you have to like that about Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Even though he's starting 12th, even though he's $6,900, nice. I think you need some tournament exposure to Stenhouse, because you never know when he's going to surprisingly show up in the top 8. He's only done it, one top 10 here at Michigan in 16 career starts, but you know how, if you've watched NASCAR for very long, Stenhouse has these random races where he'll show up and make it into the optimal and finish top 8. So I think it deserves some exposure, not a ton. I don't love the price by any means. I don't think he fits well into lineups. So that's where I'm at with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Chase Briscoe, I think he's about 20th place car. He starts 21st. He's $6,700. If you like Briscoe, sell me on him because I don't see it. I don't see it at all. Chris Buescher, he starts 11th. He's $6,500. So he finished 8th at Kansas. He finished 8th at Charlotte. He was 14th at Vegas. I really don't like the 11th place starting spot, though. Historically, Buescher's been about a top 20 driver at Michigan. That's about it. Best finish of 6th back in 2017. Other than that, 14th. Does 14th get Chris Buescher into the optimal? Probably not, unless some crazy stuff happens. That's 26 points. It's not quite there. If I'm in this price range, I'm probably going to go Bubba Wallace starting 15th, $6,400. I like what that team is doing right now. You look at looking at the 550 horsepower races this year. Bubba Wallace, average running position at 18.4, average finish at 17.4. Not blowing anybody out of the water, but he finished 16th at Atlanta, the first Atlanta race. He finished 14th at Charlotte. He finished 14th at Pocono. He finished 5th in the second Pocono race, and then he finished 14th in the second Atlanta race. Looking here at Michigan, 9th in the first race last year, couple top 20s. If you believe that team is starting to turn things around, which I've always said that I think the second half of the year is going to be a lot better for Bubba Wallace, then you have to like Bubba Wallace as a tournament play this weekend at Michigan. And I do. I like him better than Buescher for sure. $6,400. The thing is, with drivers down here, you're going to have to differentiate yourself, and I think Bubba's a good pivot. I don't love it. It's uncomfortable to throw Bubba Wallace into a lineup starting 15th, but you can't just plug in Anthony Alfredo or Michael McDowell or Josh Berry with every lineup. You just can't do it. You have to differentiate yourself. So Bubba Wallace, definite tournament play. Do I think he's a super strong tournament play? No. But I think he's a pretty good driver to be overweight on. Erik Jones, he starts 13th. I just don't trust the equipment. That's my main issue. I think Jones is on a good day, a 20th place car. So if he finishes 19th, that's 18 DraftKings points. It's not going to do it for $6,200 unless McDowell wrecks and Alfredo wrecks and Barry wreck. It's just not. It's not going to work out. So Michael McDowell, 25th, $6,000. You have to like Michael McDowell and how he's ran in the 550 horsepower package this year. Average running position of 19.5, average finish of 17.3. That is very, very solid for Michael McDowell. Is some of that aided by good starting positions? Absolutely. But at the same time, he's finished top 20 in all but one of those races. Now, for the flip side, Michael McDowell at Michigan has not been good at all. 28th and 29th last year, has 0 top 20s in 14 career starts at this racetrack. Just not good. Even Fontana, not good. 22nd last year in 2020. So, is McDowell a relatively safe option? Yes, he's $6,000. He starts 25th. I think he's more likely to be a 28th place car than he is a 20th place car. So that's where it really concerns me whether McDowell is worth it to be heavy on, or is that where you pivot off of McDowell? Do you go underweight on McDowell? Because I do think McDowell's going to get a good chunk of ownership this week. If he finishes even 24th, that's 19 DraftKings points. That gets him it's not awful for a $6,000 driver, but at the same time, if he finishes 28th, that's 11 DraftKings points. Like, it's just, I think it's worth being underweight on Michael McDowell this week. I think he's going to get more ownership than he should. And I could be completely wrong. Like I said, he's been very good in this package this year. If that continues this week, then I'll be wrong and I'll look like an idiot when it comes to being underweight on him. But I feel like the 34 team has taken a step down in performance lately, and he's not good at 2-mile tracks. So I don't like that combination this week for a guy that's probably going to be decently chalky in this price range because there's really nobody else to pick. Speaking of chalk, Anthony Alfredo starts 35th. He's $5,800. He's going to be he's going to have a ton of ownership this week just because of he starts 35th and he's $5,800. And if you want to fit Larson into a lineup, you basically have to go Alfredo, I think. He's the only, you're not going to go backmarkers this week. Michigan is such a high horsepower track. You can't go with backmarkers this week. It's just not going to work out unless there's a bunch of wrecks, which is possible, but it's just not likely. But looking at results from Alfredo in this package this year, 24th at Homestead, 24th at Vegas, 27th at Atlanta. He was 23rd at Kansas, 25th at Charlotte, 26th at Pocono, 34th. I think he wrecked out of the second Pocono race, and then 26th in the second Atlanta race. A 26th place finish, which is even a 27th place finish, which is his worst outside of the second Pocono race in this package this year. That would be 23 DraftKings points, which that's all you need. You just need Alfredo not to wreck. Has he wrecked a lot lately? Yes, he's had a lot of issues lately. Do I expect to see a lot of issues at Michigan? Absolutely not. So, yeah, I think Alfredo's major chalk, and I don't even really like going against the chalk of Alfredo this week. Even like I can make a bigger case against McDowell than I can against Alfredo. So, Corey LaJoie, he's out for COVID protocols. Not going to talk about that. Don't want to get into that discussion. But Josh Berry is subbing for him. He's going to be scored from 24th. You have to think that Josh Berry has similar potential and upside as Corey LaJoie in that car. I think that car is about a 22nd place car. If you're looking for a pivot off of Alfredo, I think Josh Berry is a decent option. My projections don't like him by any means, but a 22nd place finish is 22 DraftKings points out of Berry, whereas, for Alfredo to get 22 DraftKings points, he's going to need to finish 27th to get 23. So if Alfredo wrecks and you pivot off of Alfredo to Berry and Berry finishes 22nd, it's going to be a good play there. But that's probably the furthest down I'd go as far as these drivers. Cody Ware, BJ McLeod. Like, you're definitely not picking Justin Haley this week. Don't pick James Davison. I don't think he's racing. I think Joey Gase is going to be in that car. I don't know if DraftKings will add him to the driver pool like they did Josh Berry, but still junk. Garrett Smithley starts 33rd. He'll probably finish 36th. Josh Bilicki starts 29th. He'll probably finish 35th. Quinn Houff starts 31st. He'll probably finish 34th. Like, all of these guys are moving back. BJ McLeod and Cody Ware are about the only ones that you could maybe make a case for, but at the same time, their upside is like 32nd from 36th and 37th. And they're priced at $5,400 and $5,200. It's not worth it. It's not going to pay off. Justin Haley starts 17th. He's going to finish 30th. Like, not worth it at all. So go ahead and take, these bottom 7 drivers out. Obviously take LaJoie out. I think you can take DiBenedetto out. I'd honestly take Kurt Busch out. And you're left now with a significantly lower driver pool to make your lineup this week. Top lineup, according to my projections, is quite place differential chalky. So, of course, Larson, Christopher Bell, Austin Dillon, Daniel Suarez, Anthony Alfredo, and Alex Bowman. That is the optimal according to my projections. The second best might surprise you. I know it surprised me. Kyle Larson again. Chase Elliott going top 2 starters. And then Christopher Bell, Austin Dillon, Tyler Reddick, and Anthony Alfredo. I actually like that a lot for a tournament play. I think this is a great tournament lineup right here. Maybe even, pivoting off of Bell or Austin Dillon down to Suarez or Chastain, and trying to differentiate yourself a little bit more there as well. But I really like this lineup here. If you did go off of, so Larson, Elliott, Bell, Austin Dillon, Reddick, Alfredo, I actually really like this the more that I'm looking at it. But you could come off of, come off of Bell and grab Suarez, and then you can go up and grab Martin Truex Jr. And if you don't, you could even still go Bell. You could go Larson, Truex, Bell, Suarez, Reddick, Alfredo, Larson, Truex, Austin Dillon, Suarez, Reddick, Alfredo. I really like Tyler Reddick this week as a place differential play. Or you could go, Ryan Blaney off of there. Leaves you an extra $500 to work with. Could you come off of here instead of Suarez and go Amarola, or even go, Bell, so back from the original lineup of Larson, Elliott, Bell, Austin Dillon, Reddick, Alfredo, instead going Larson, Blaney, or Larson, Bowman. So that's where my projections have them. Make sure to check that article. It'll be up whenever this video goes up. So if you're listening to this video and you've made it this far, make sure you check out the article. Make sure you check out the site, fantasyracingonline.com. Like I said, all free content. Check it out. Subscribe to my channel. All that other crap. It's 1:30 in the morning. I'm tired. But good luck this week at Michigan. And we will be back for Daytona next week. So good luck. See you.